Today we're going to talk about what L-Carnitine does to your body, the benefits and also the side effects. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna share with you my personal experience taking it for over 2 weeks. Let's start by talking about what L-Carnitine is. So L-Carnitine is an amino acid derivative, which means it comes from amino acids, but it's not used to make protein. It's used for other functions in the body. L-Carnitine is actually made from the amino acids lysine and methionine, and it has a lot of different functions in the body. But its main role is to help transport fatty acids into the mitochondria. Okay, so the mitochondria is the part of the cell that's responsible for making energy. And so if you have more fatty acids going into the mitochondria, you can make more energy from those fatty acids. Now where does carnitine come from? Well, it's mostly made in the liver and the kidneys, okay, from those amino acids that I mentioned. But sometimes we don't make enough, and when we don't make enough, then we need to get it from our food, or we can take it as a supplement. The foods highest in L-Carnitine are red meats, although it's also found in smaller amounts in chicken, fish, milk and cheese. Now vegetarians and vegans typically have lower levels of carnitine in their blood because they do eat red meat. Also, people with kidney or liver disease may have low levels of carnitine. So let's talk about some of the benefits of L-Carnitine. Since one of the main roles of carnitine is to help transport fatty acids into the mitochondria, it makes sense that it would be involved in energy production. So there are many studies showing that carnitine can increase endurance and exercise capacity. This is because it helps the body use fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates. So it helps switch over into this fat-burning state and also delay the fatigue factor so you can work out longer and harder. And because it helps spare the carbohydrates, it could potentially help reduce the glycemic index of a meal. That means that it could potentially help prevent blood sugar spikes. Carnitine has also been shown to help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, especially in people that have cardiovascular disease. Now, since carnitine is made by the liver and the kidneys, if you have problems with these organs, you may have a harder time producing carnitine. And so supplementing with L-Carnitine can help support the function of these organs. Alright, now let's talk about loading L-Carnitine. When you first start taking L-Carnitine, you may want to load for the first few days. This means you would take a higher dose, like 2 to 3 grams 3 to 6 times a day, depending on the brand. After you load it for a few days, you may find that you have less of a need to take as much. For example, after I loaded for 2 days, I only needed to take 1 gram per day to maintain the effect. So the next question is, how much do you have to take? Well, like I said, it all depends on the individual. Some people load it for the first week, other people don't. Some people need to take a lot more than others. It all depends on what your individual needs are. If you're exercising really hard and you're sweating a lot, you may need to take more because you're going to lose a lot of minerals and electrolytes when you sweat. And even though carnitine is not a mineral or an electrolyte, I would just include it in that category because it's a very water-soluble compound. So anytime you're sweating, you might lose some. Anytime you're exercising hard and you're losing fluids, you may need to take more. On the flip side, if you're not exercising hard, you're not sweating, you may find that you don't need to take quite as much. It's good to just kind of play around with it and see what works best for you. There's no real set in stone rules. Okay, so let's talk about how we get L-Carnitine. Like I said before, we can get it from food, especially red meat, or we can supplement with it. So here are a few things to look for when you're getting L-Carnitine. First, it's important to get L-Carnitine, not acetyl L-Carnitine, because L-Carnitine will cross the blood-brain barrier and acetyl carnitine will not. So if you're looking to improve cognitive function, it's better to get the regular L-Carnitine. Another thing to look for is the amount of carnitine in each serving. Some brands only have 500 milligrams per serving while others have 2,000 milligrams per serving. You'll also want to consider how many servings you need to take per day. For example, if you want to take 2 grams of carnitine per day, you may need to take 4 capsules if each capsule only has 500 milligrams, or you may only need to take 1 or 2 capsules if each capsule has 2,000 milligrams. Now, what are the side effects of L-Carnitine? In general, carnitine is very safe and well tolerated, but some people may experience mild side effects, especially when they first start taking it. These side effects may include nausea, stomach pain, diarrhea, fatigue, headache, dizziness, or in some cases, an allergic reaction. Generally, these side effects are dose-dependent, meaning that if you take a small dose, you're less likely to get side effects. If you take a larger dose, you're more likely to get side effects. So it's a good idea to start out with a small dose and gradually increase it until you find the right amount for you. Another concern is whether carnitine can interfere with certain medications, especially diabetes medications. So it's always best to check with your doctor before taking any new supplements, especially if you're on medication. Okay, so now that you know all about L-carnitine, let me tell you about my personal experience taking it. So I took L-carnitine for over 2 weeks and I did notice some benefits. I took 2 grams a day for the first week and then I reduced it to 1 gram a day after that. I didn't experience any side effects except for a little bit of nausea, but that went away after a couple of days. I found that it helped me work out harder and longer without feeling fatigued. And I also found that it helped me lose a few pounds. Now, I'm not saying that it was only the carnitine that caused this weight loss. I was also on a low-carb diet and I was exercising regularly. But I think the carnitine definitely helped. Overall, I am happy with my experience taking L-carnitine and I plan to continue taking it in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something new. Please let me know if you have any questions and I'll see you in the next video.